WWE superstar. Described as a former UFC heavyweight champion whom Vince was trying to re-sign. Who the bloody hell could that be?
Not me.
Funnily enough, someone actually said that Cain Velasquez actually is also a former heavyweight champion and did one match for the WWE, but it's Brock Lesnar. Everyone is absolutely sure it's Brock Lesnar here. I'm not telling tales out of school on that one. So, on or about July 12th, 2021, McMahon directed Ms. Grant to create personalised sexual content for WWE Superstar. McMahon shared the photos with WWE Superstar and then informed Ms. Grant that he likes what he sees prior to a business dinner. With McMahon, WWE Superstar made a brief visit to Ms. Grant's building. However, WWE Superstar did not return to the building for a sexual encounter because he was too intoxicated and taken back to the plane. Further on, why don't I just add I can't find where I've written it in the script. It is somewhere that Brock Lesnar, WWE Superstar, eventually gets Ms. Grant's number and then demands that she send a video of her urinating to him. So, interesting. Sorry, there is one more thing. Ms. Grant was used as a bargaining chip, even if in joking sense, or maybe not, to Brock Lesnar to re-sign in 2021.
Yeah. Well, based on everything else, I would doubt that was made like as a in jest. As I'm sitting here listening to read through that, and some of it I had read and some of it I hadn't seen, the word that kept popping up in my head was repugnant. Just you have the world at your fingertips, right? I mean, I'm sure there's, there'd be a lot of women out there that would love to meet Vince McMahon, right? Or Johnny Ace, or Brock Lesnar, or anybody from that world. To do this, I sound like I'm repeating myself, but to use that as a weapon over an ambitious young girl that is eager to get into the industry and needs the work and that kind of thing, that is the worst abuse of power to me, because it's not like you're just playing with like a rubber ball and bouncing it back. That's an inanimate object. This is a human being, and that's the kind of stuff that, if you know anything about psychology, that lifetimes, that's why I'm so strongly, vehemently against grooming of children and stuff, and like this attempt to normalize this in some way. You do untold damage to that person, and oftentimes that will lead to things like suicides or suicidal tendencies and attempts. I don't know how somebody could live with themselves in doing that. Like if somebody would go out and harm themselves over something that I had said or did to them, that would destroy me. I don't know how you could live with that. But again, I guess, I ain't never been a billionaire before. So I guess like living up in that, that Mount Olympus, that you can do these things and get away with it, I guess, or think you can. There was one thing that popped in my head, like sort of like a procedural type of thing. The $15,000 in gift cards. I would be very curious to see where that bill went. Did that bill go to the WWE, or did that go to Vince McMahon's private account? Again, it's true. Just those types of things. It's I guess another thing that keeps popping in my head is the hubris of this, right? Like, if I'm accurate in saying about living in that world and I can do it because I can, I'm this powerful. And we know he has that mindset because of the ass kissing stuff and everything else. To just be so arrogant, to think that, well, I can do whatever I want and talk to this woman in this way and, bandy her about like she's an object that I can pass around or whatever. Repugnant. The hubris it exhibits is galling. And I'm going to be really curious to watch this play out, because there's this part of my brain thinking to myself that, as intelligent of a businessman as Vince is, that it would seem like so out of character to to be this errant, right? To just like this, throw these comments around and stuff, and to be that well known inside that company. It would certainly, if so, he'll have a lot of time to think about it, I guess, down the road as to the things that maybe he should have second guessed. Like I always tell my kids, every stupid thing I've done in my life, and there's been plenty, there was that moment right before I did it where my brain said, this ain't a good idea. And then like 2 seconds later, oh, why the hell did I do that? And, it's like that devil and an angel on your shoulder, right? Which one you're going to listen to. It's like you said before we came on the air, this is like a level of like what sociopathic type thinking, right? That it's okay because I'm who I am. And she knows what I mean. I'm not really being, it's just like, this is how we foreplay or whatever. And, boy, I think if the world hasn't, as if it didn't already know, but if the world hasn't picked up on no means no, and all these little idioms that we've heard and seen in this tectonic shift because of the Me Too movement, and this stuff having occurred after that, it's that put an exponent factor in afterwards for the hubris, right? I mean, that is just like so over the top. It's almost like, hey, world, this is what I'm going to say to that. And I just think, man, that is, people who have power and authority, statesmen wield it in a way that they can attract people to them. Sociopaths wield it in a way that they like a hammer to pound somebody with, and have no remorse for it. Again, if true, my heart goes out to this young woman and anybody else that's in that kind of a situation, because I remember like with the Harvey Weinstein thing, there was the one actress, Naomi Judd, and she claimed that she was raped. And went back and they made 6 more movies with them, and people said, "Well, see, me personally, I wouldn't go back. I mean, if I was so offended by that, I wouldn't go back." But that doesn't mean that somebody my life stream was never to be a movie star. If it were, then who knows what pieces you'd move around or where that goalpost would shift for you.
But they might not even quite realize what's happened to them at the time. I mean, a lot of these cases are where they only sort of fully understand the picture years after the fact. They've been gaslighted, or they're just broken over a period of weeks, months, years, that they just don't realize what's happening to them or the full effect of it. And also people, I'm sure some people I've seen out there, well, if it was me, I wouldn't have done that. It's like, listen, pretty much anybody out there can be broken.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Stockholm Syndrome now is a well-known phrase, but 50 years ago, it was brand new, pretty much, or 40 years ago. But the fact is that anyone can be broken, and it's almost like domestic violence. It's like, and you see all these instances why people outside go, well, why don't you just leave the guy? And there's so many, apart from just emotionally broken, isolated, made to feel unworthy, made to feel like you can't leave for one reason or another. Yeah.
It's that there are people that live their lives that way on both sides of the fence. And like I said about the thing that I was watching a week ago or so, where the woman said, "I just assumed this is how it operates at this level. There's so few people that get to this level that this is what this club does. This is what this fraternity does. And if I want to partake in that," and it really is, grooming, right? You're getting these people to think, like in Naomi Judd's case, her life's ambition was to be an actor. And she's now with quite arguably the most powerful movie-making company on the planet, or one of them for sure. And you could easily see how a young woman would say, "Well, this is, I guess, this is the fee you have to pay to get into that club."
Or you could even say, "Well, listen, this one horrible thing, I'm not going to let ruin my career."
Right. Yeah. I'll do anything I can to get there. And and for people out there that say, I would never do that, or why didn't they just this or that? What's that old saying? Until you've walked a mile in somebody's moccasins, the the lore of fame, and I've talked often with you about it in other places. The ability to go into a ring and get people to jeer or cheer or cry or fangs out, that's a powerful opiate. And I say that as somebody who had a physical dependency on OxyContin. That is far more powerful than OxyContin, because it's it's a life stream that you're now to the point where you can display that and do those things that you've seen the greats before you do. That is an incredibly powerful opiate. And so, to sit there and say, well, I'll just walk away from it. I wouldn't do this or do that.
Well, I imagine, tell me if I'm wrong, but the difference with, because you've been very open, you said you were hooked on OxyContin for a while. After a while, you take it to keep you on a level, whereas, the adulation from the crowd, it gives you self-worth.
Instant.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like plugging right into a 220 line. So, yeah, and once you've tasted that, it's hard to sit there and say, okay, well, now I'm just going to go be a civilian, or I would just walk away because I wouldn't stoop to that level. It's until you've crossed that bridge, until you've had the opportunity, or you've been put into that position, you really can't say. And people talk about who was the woman the other night on the Grammy Awards that said that she got her Grammy, but it won't bring her kids back that she had aborted. There is a price to pay, and you could, here and now it's comfortable, it's convenient, it's going to keep my career going right now. That's great. But then, we human beings have things called consciousness. And at some point down the road, you can describe it as whatever you want to describe it as, but sooner or later, if you're being real, then there's a price to pay for that. It's going to, stamp itself on your psyche. And, again, with anybody in these types of positions, in this case, we're talking about the Vincent and this young woman, but Naomi Judd, anybody in these types of positions, there is a scar that's left, and you can ignore that scar for a while or whatever else, but at least in my experience, things like that have a tendency of popping back up. And, if it was just somebody to say, okay, I'm going to hit the erase button and forget all about that and move on, that's not the way the human psyche works. To knowingly do that to somebody else, and to leave that kind of a scar as a display of your power or your authority, or your, getting off your fantasies or whatever, is so disgusting to me, so repugnant, that and I dare say, like, on the I don't know the exact definition, but it seems to me that would be very close to sociopathic or psychopathic, that that you would do that and not care what the impact is on the other person. And what a shame. I mean, it's horrendous, on the face of it. And again, just going to be very interested to see how this plays out and where it goes. Able to be a play to settle it before it gets into the smarmy stuff. If so, considering the resources that Vince has, it's not like me or you that, hey, this is going to be a $10 million legal bill and I ain't got $10 million laying around. Vince has the wherewithal to fight it. So it's going to be very interesting to see, like, if this goes to a plea deal, then each of us can make what we want of that, but I certainly have a certain opinion on that. That wouldn't be good to the accused.